Hey y'all, welcome to What's Happening with Carolina Chuck. We talk about what's happening in South Carolina and beyond. Today's guest is an author, a journalist, and an expert in South Carolina history and its mysteries. He's the man behind everybody's favorite Facebook page, The Lantern, that highlights South Carolina ghost stories and mysteries. So like and subscribe to The Lantern. Today's guest is Mr. John G. Clark Jr.
Hold on to your butt.
You know what you need is some of that hysterical respect. Know what I mean?
We ain't one at a time in here. We're mass communicating.
Oh, yeah. That's a powerful new force.
Take a leg, Junior.
About an hour. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Anyways, what's up, John, man? I appreciate letting us come hang out with you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys were able to come up to the mountains here up in northern Greenville County.
Yeah. So I put out a Facebook ad that said I was looking to do a podcast with somebody that could tell me some local ghost stories. And you got some fans out there, dude. They totally tagged you in there. And I reached out to you. We talked on the phone for probably 40 minutes. And I was like, man, that was basically the podcast right there.
Yeah, so one thing about the Lantern is that we do more than just ghost stories. And so I don't know if you're familiar or not, but there's a lot of things that we do. Haunted history is one.
Yeah.
We're very niche in what we do. The ghost stories is just one of the things. And this time of the year, a lot of people tune into it. And we just launched a new Facebook page called The Beyond. So we're diving into all things cold cases, disappearances of the Carolinas.
Wow. Yeah. That sounds, I mean, you was telling me a lot about that. That sounds like it's gonna take you down some rabbit holes and it's gonna be really good content.
Well, it's really good content, but what I have found too is that it doesn't matter what you do in this world. You're always gonna have naysayers.
Yeah.
And even when you try to go out and do great for people, like, okay, you may have a disappearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think these people, want it solved. Well, you do your due diligence. You go in and you put it out to people. Well, family members come along. Well, that's not exactly the way it is. Well, I went and I read credible articles on this. Now, if you disagree with that, maybe you need to go back to those credible articles. So my main goal is to bring everyone home.
Right.
With the Beyond.
Yeah. So I was thinking about, we're talking about Patrick Burris, and I was like, I might dive into doing some research and maybe putting together a documentary on that. And I was like, man, but if you get it wrong and you make somebody mad, I like you're saying, there can be some issues. But anyways, today I want to talk to you about how you set up the Lantern. Now, how long has that been a Facebook page?
So February 18th, 2020. We went through the process. In April of 2021, we were set up with the state of South Carolina as a media organization.
No, you say we. Who's all with you?
So initially, I had a few folks because the Lantern wasn't always the Lantern. Yeah, we always covered the ghostly stories, but there was a few things that we did that we did dive into local politics because you can't get that news anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you really want to talk about some haters. I mean... You dive into local politics, and you're going to find out quick that 50% is going to agree with you and 50% is not. Then it dawned on me within the last 3 years that we really need to be more niche down. So we lost some people along the way, but it allowed us to turn our focus to really be able to grow the Lantern.
Yeah.
And recently we launched a website. So you can find us at Lantern MG for Media Group, lanternmg.com. And I don't charge for any of the content on the page.
Now, are you writing these stories? Because I see you autographed in the end of them down there. So you're going through doing the work and writing these stories up and putting them online. That's incredible.
Yeah, so my main goal is to preserve our folklore because, I mean, that's really what the South is known for. We're known for our storytellers. And I feel like through the years that as more people moved into our area, that's the number one thing people's looking for. I mean, honestly, if I was going to a new area, I want to know more about the history of the area. I want to know about the people. I want to know about the local lore. And that has has really spoken to a lot of people. And I will say this: I remember one night, the first time it really shocked me. You said we have a big following. Is when I put on, I think it was on social media. I put, so where do you enjoy reading Lantern from?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God! I was like, we have people. I had Germany.
Wow.
I had people in New Mexico. I had a lot of people from New York begging me, please start covering New York.
Wow.
And it was just so many that it really shocked me. So that kind of changed the way I started writing, you know, from a standpoint of who all is actually reading this.
That's incredible, dude. So how did you, like, before we dive into it, how did you get involved in such darker things?
I don't classify as darker things because I always tell people I don't go out and investigate anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not me. I'm just a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I think about darker entities or things, maybe that is some of the ghost shows that you see on TV where they try to stir the spirits up. That's not me. If I don't write about it, then who's going to write about it? Who's going to preserve this? Because I have kids, and one day I want them to be proud and say, oh yes, you know, because I do have a book coming out. My first book is already been turned in, working on my second one. To answer your question, initially what got me involved is I went to the University of South Carolina.
Go Gamecocks.
Go Gamecocks. And I'm always hesitant. I did major in history.
Mm-hmm.
In this day and time, you have a lot of historians out, you know, and
Yeah.
what I mean by that is it's nice to see so many people involved,
Yeah.
wanting to make a difference. And it's almost like, and I'll say this, you'll hardly ever hear me bring up religion, but in my opinion, the Bible is for the people the way they want to interpret the Bible. Okay. You may go to church to get guidance, right? From a preacher, he went to, education, higher education. But at the end of the day, you got to open the book and you got to read it. And what really got me started was when I was a child, my home was haunted with a man with a black hat.
Man in a black hat.
Man with a black hat. Yep.
You've seen this?
I personally did not see this.
Okay.
My mother did.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
my mother did. I felt some things in the house.
Right.
Because you could feel dark energy. I mean, you kind of know I don't want to tread back here at night by myself.
Yeah.
But I always refer to him as the man in the black hat. And years later, it wasn't until I relocated to North Carolina for a few years that I came face to face with a full body apparition. And that was on February 17th, 2020.
February 17th, 2020.
2020.
Okay.
Was there anything in between that experience and then 2020? Were you reading books or something like that?
Yeah, so I was always interested in history before I went to college. And initially I wanted to go to the Citadel. That's where I wanted.
Oh, yeah.
So I pre-nobbed back in 1995 and 96 because that's where I wanted to go. And I wanted to be initially a history teacher, okay?
Okay.
And back before the days of the internet.
You want to be Indiana Jones?
I didn't want to be Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Well, no, not really. But I remember that being from a small area, you didn't have a whole lot to do back then.
Right.
Okay, it's not like, okay, we can just go over here or go to the mall because we didn't have one.
Right.
So what we had to do was, we used the library at school, and me and a couple buddies will pull some books like, wow, did you know this? No, I didn't. Okay, well, Friday night, let's load up in the truck and we're going to go check it out. And the very first ghostly encounter, it wasn't even a ghostly encounter. It's more or less just a bunch of teenagers getting in a truck and driving.
Yeah.
Was the Hound of Goshen.
Was what?
The Hound of Goshen is down in Union County.
The Hound of Goshen. I thought you were trying to say the Sound of Ocean. And but anyways.
No, it's the Hound of Goshen. So he's referred to as the Happy Dog.
Really?
And he is one of the oldest ghost stories in the state of South Carolina. And
do tell.
Yeah. So what's unique about that story is there's actually 2 counties that actually share that ghost story.
Really?
And it occurred down on Old Buncombe Road, and Newberry County and Union County. They actually share that ghost story because of the road distance.
Dang. So I brought him along because me and him. I'll go ahead and tell our little ghost story. One of the craziest things that I can clearly, as a child, remember. I mean, I was a kid, but I was probably 13. I was cool back then. You know what I mean? I was the cool kid, TRL and all that. You know,
Yeah, I was cool too. I was smoking cigarettes at 5 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm getting off the bus. This dude over here, he stayed home from school, sick. So I got off the bus.
Was he really sick?
I mean, he looked pretty dang sick.
Okay.
All
right.
By the time, well, I don't know if it was sick before this or not, but I get to the door and the door's locked. He opens the door and he's like super pale. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And he's got this BB gun. I'm like, because he's 2 years younger than me, so he's probably like 11 or 10 or something. And he said, man, doors have been slamming all day. Now, we're in a house, and I don't remember it being particularly warm outside to have windows open. I mean, we got AC and all, you know, so I don't remember any kind of draft thing, because I thought about that, you know, when this stuff started happening. So he's talking about doors have been slamming, and I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm too cool for all this, you know? And I go in the kitchen, and I grab my bucket of ice cream, and I sit in front of the TV, and I'm watching Carson Daly talk about music and everything. And my parents' bedroom door is wide open. Now, we're old house. It's a big, solid, thick wood door. And I'm sitting there, and it's wide open. Like, they leave it open, all the doors stay open. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, that door slams with the force of a man putting 2 hands on it and swinging it shut. Bam! I freaking roll over my ice cream. And then down the hall, there's my parents' bedroom, my brother's bedroom, and then my bedroom. And then I hear my door because it's got a distinct sound, and it slams. Wham! Right after that. And I'm like, dude. And I take the freaking BB gun from him. Like, it was like, I used it like a ball bat. And
Okay, I was about to ask what you're going to do with a BB gun.
Right. Yeah. I turned it into a ball bat. And I'm like, dude, what the heck? And
have you ever watched The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
So you turned it like Lucille Negan?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was, I mean, there's been a couple more, but that one was pretty unexplainable and bizarre. And it's got me intrigued about what really happened. And maybe it wasn't a ghost, but maybe it was something, you know, maybe it was. But anyways, I brought you on, and I wanted to talk to you about York County ghost stories in the surrounding area. You said you had a few that's going into your book. What's your book called?
We don't have a name yet.
Oh, perfect.
Right. So my second book I'm currently working on. So everybody wants to know, it's hopefully gonna be titled Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch.
And I'm gonna tell you about the witch trials of South Carolina, some more eerie ghost stories around.
Dude, I'm super excited about that. Like, the witch trials is kind of one of my favorite things. And now we're talking about South Carolina. That's pretty cool.
Right.
I want one of the first copies.
Yeah. So, kind of, I don't want to put this on record, but I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Okay. The third installment of his movie series or movies was titled Season of the Witch. And it's the only Michael Myers film that he doesn't appear in.
Right. I remember that one.
Right, but you could feel his presence.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to capture in this second book, is just like, it's not going to be your just run-of-the-mill ghost stories. It's going to be some really, because I always lead with history first. And people at the Lantern know that, you know, because I always try to put the history out. I just released The Lady in the Window at the Cross Keys house. And I told a little bit about the history of it, dating back, where it dates back, I think, to 1821. However, Jefferson Davis, when he was fleeing from Richmond, he actually stopped by and had lunch with the lady of the house.
Really?
When he was fleeing in April of 1865. So I always tell that, because when people comes to the Lantern, I want people to get something. I want people to walk away with something. Now, that could be your standard bar room trivia.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm no fun when I go to barroom trivia.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But I can win you a lot of beers.
Right.
Or drinks. We'll say drinks here.
Yeah,
but we'll tune it down to PG-13. But it's really interesting that so many people has come. And York County is one place that we just don't hear a lot of ghost tales out of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's by design. And what I mean by that, and I'm going to go into it, some of these counties.
So what made you select York County out of it? Because Greenville's, it's kind of like the center of the upstate, but York County's kind of off to its own.
Well, it is, because you got to remember, I went to school there. Okay, I went to Winthrop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did go for a half semester, then transferred down to Columbia. When you write a book, you try to capture the entire state. You don't want to leave any part out.
Yeah.
Because you want people in York County to be able to connect. And that was one of my missions. Why do we not read more ghost stories? Sure, we hear about Tillman Hall at Winthrop being haunted. I mean, it was built by convict labor.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
But we don't hear anything else. So some of these counties are very open about to discuss it, about paranormal or haunted locations like Charleston.
Yeah.
They embrace it.
Yeah.
Because they understand that it's a mega $1 million industry. Then you have some counties who shy away from it. And I don't know why they shy away from it. Well, we don't want that attention here.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Do you not want to lure the tourist dollars in?
Yeah.
Right? But York County is just one of those places you just don't get many stories from.
So what's your research method for this book? Like, how do you actually go about, if you hear a story you want to investigate, like, how do you go about that?
A great question, Bear. It always starts, typically, I reach out to the local historical or historical societies because, number one, I lead by history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I just ask around, hey, do you have any ghost stories here? And then typically word of mouth. Somebody says, well, you need to talk to this person. Well, I'll go down and talk to that person. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're not putting it out,
Yeah.
You're not going to hear these stories at church on Sunday. Right. So I value that. I go right in because I go over and beyond for the Lantern readers. So to answer your question, it starts with phone calls. It starts about digging on the history. And when you actually go and research a lot of these different historical museums, historical societies, people have written pen books on this stuff in the past. Just like when I was at the McKelvey Center in York. Okay. That place is, I used the word allegedly, but it's allegedly haunted. But when I sat down, there was a person who actually penned a book many years ago talking about witchcraft in York County. So.
Yeah, I would imagine what's on the internet is only what people put on the internet. So there's a lot not posted online somewhere.
People know when they come to the Lantern, and I can't tell you because you can see all the books around. These are just some of my books. I got them over here on the floor, up here.
Oh yeah.
They're just a few of my books. So I always cross-check everything. So we take credibility to the extreme. And through the years, people has tried to discredit me. And I'm like, okay, well, are you discrediting this book, this source? And I'll put 10 sources online. I never hear from those people again.
Yeah.
So you have to do your due diligence.
Yeah, and have sources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But let's dive into the ghost story you were talking about when we were on the phone the other day about the train.
The ghost train of Highway 161.
Yeah.
Okay. So you asked me, Bear, how I found a lot of these stories. So I do have a newspaper.com account, and you'd be surprised, what you could find through research. And this was a tale that September 1903, let me look at this really quick because I wrote this a long time ago. Let me see. Yeah. September 3rd, 1903, a Southern Railroad Mail and Express train was making its way from, if you can imagine, Rock Hill to Yorkville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it that.
Yep.
All right. So it was coming down the tracks. Well, right before it reached the Fishing Creek Trestle,
Okay.
which is about 3 miles east out of York, South Carolina. So if you imagine Highway 161, you go about 3 miles out. It's not all the way where Terza is. A little before that, it was a massive trestle.
Yeah, right about where the new Dollar General and stuff is, I think, right?
Well, I don't shop at Dollar General, Chuck, but you know,
I've been in there a time or two.
Hey, wear it with a badge.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is, but I can tell you where the old fish camp is.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's still there or not on 161. But moments before that train reached, there was another train that was making its way from York back out to Rock Hill. Okay, so they had to slow down to let it clear.
Mm-hmm.
And as they was going across the trestle, it just snapped. The trestle just snapped. So imagine the engine being halfway across. I think it's 450 feet long trestle. They had 25 people on board. And you go back because there was people from McConnell's, York, that were making their way back.
What year was this? 1803?
1903.
1903.
September 3rd, 1903 is when it happened. And this is in the book. And eventually what did happen was that the train fell into Fishing Creek below. It killed 5 people. And they were crushed. And going back to articles in the Herald newspaper that I researched, 1987, 1994, it appears too. People said that when you go down 161, now you know, Highway 161 has changed a lot.
Yeah.
You brought up the Dollar General store.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
I think we have one on Mars now.
Yeah.
Okay. I just know York County from the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What it used to look like.
Right.
Okay. People said it sounded like a bad train wreck. And it normally happened when you left Rock Hill with your windows down going into York. You could hear screeching metal. You could hear screams. And
I think I've heard of this before a long time ago.
And, well, I will say this. One lady said that it sounds like something bad happened here many years ago. So to answer your question, Bear, I had it. I had the articles. Now let's dive in to see why people would be hearing a train wreck on Highway 161, especially in that area. Well, come to find out, I was able to link it to that 1903 train wreck.
So you put this whole thing together. Oh my gosh.
Yep. I put it together. And
so I might have missed it, but in the newspaper they didn't say anything about the wreck. They just said that they were hearing the noises.
correct.
Wow.
And then I took that and said train wrecks. And I started researching a bunch of newspapers. I'm over and beyond credible with my sources. I was able to link it. I even called a friend that works in the railroad industry. Have you ever heard about this wreck? No, I don't. I mean, this guy's a big, train fanatic.
Yeah,
that's what he does. And I started telling him about it. Well, come to find out, that trestle is a earshot away from current day Highway 161.
Right.
Those old tracks still run.
Yeah,
through
those
there.
old tracks right there. Yeah.
Right. So that's the ghost train of Highway. That's a story you're not going to hear anywhere else. That's a story that I researched.
How the heck do you got time to do all this? How do you make money? You got a job?
Yeah. So I'm very organized.
Yeah.
With my
Highly
time.
organized. I mean, you got to be.
Right. I mean, time
What's
is
your
money.
strategy?
My strategy is I don't sleep much.
Hey, you got a whole extra day if you don't go to sleep.
Well, yeah, I'm open 23 and a half hours a day,
Yes,
right?
wow.
You picked the 30 minutes, I'm not. It's a labor of love.
Yeah.
And what I say is people that goes golfing, that's their hobby.
Mm-hmm.
They enjoy doing that. Well, I enjoy bringing history, folklore, and all of this niche content to the readers.
Man, what's your thoughts on the Lizard Man?
Lizard Man, 1988. Bishopville. I remember when Lizard Mania ran wild. I actually had a T-shirt. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share something else with your listeners. People think or believe that Chris Davis, he was the teenager who was the first one to see the Lizard Man.
Okay.
He was leaving his I think he worked at a local restaurant, and he supposedly had a flat tire, and he stopped. He pulled into Skateboard Swamp. That's where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
He pulled over, and that's when he saw this creature coming at him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chris Davis wasn't the first one to ever encounter the Lizard Man. Through research, I was able to piece together a bicyclist in 1986. 2 years before Chris Davis came forward, was bicycling through Skateboard Swamp and encountered a lizard-like creature.
Really? And where did you find this?
This through my research.
Wow.
Because number one, because I thought about including the Lizard Man, but honestly, he's been beat to hell.
Right.
And he's also beat people to hell, right? You know, I don't need that. I don't need that bad mojo around me.
But you got to touch on him because he is a South Carolina thing. I feel like that's your thing.
He's a South Carolina legend.
Yeah.
But I will tell you in this new book, The Season of the Witch, I know this isn't York County, but we'll dive back in. So,
hey, it's more of the lantern that I'm interested in.
Yeah, so you go online and you type into Walhalla Hitchhiker.
Walhalla Hitchhiker, yeah.
Okay, so supposedly in the 1950s, Larry Stevens, he was a pilot. He took off from downtown Greenville Airport. He wanted to capture the perfect sunset over the Blue Ridge Mountains. So he flew his plane out over Walhalla. He circled back around. He caught it at the right time. The sun was coming down. He said, man, this is heaven. As he turned back around, allegedly, he was in he encountered bad weather, a rainstorm, severe storm, and he crashed in the mountains up here in Oconee County.
Yeah.
Okay. People through the years who has driven that mountain highway has encountered a gentleman in a long trench coat, muddy boots, looking for a ride. Okay. This has been written about in books. It's all on social media. Type in Walhalla Hitchhiker. But what journalists and others has failed to do is their research. How if I told you Larry Stevens didn't even exist?
Really?
You had to pull the logs, the flight logs. It's right there, and there's no such thing as Larry Stevens ever crashing his plane there. But there is a Walhalla Hitchhiker. Okay, so where the gentleman has been spotted, roughly about 10 years before that, there was a military plane that was flying. Some reports say it was flying from Greenville back down to Alabama. I want to say Alabama or Mississippi. I don't have it in front of me. I wasn't prepared to talk about it.
Yeah, good.
But actually, I believe they were flying from Alabama to Mississippi back to the Donaldson Center here. And there was 4 or 5 gentlemen that was on board. And they encountered bad weather. And that plane did go down. It was about 200 yards from supposedly where Larry Stevens' plane went down. The pilot of that military craft, he was from Ohio. See, Chuck, I could never put together, why would Larry Stevens have a long raincoat on and muddy boots when he took off from Greenville? See, this is what got me churning, Bear. It makes no sense for this guy to be spotted in that apparel, because clearly when he would have taken off from Greenville that day, he would never have flown if he was going to encounter bad weather.
Right.
And he certainly wouldn't have had his raincoat on in a plane, okay, or boots. But military personnel would. That was a part of their gear. I like to think the Walhalla Hitchhiker, he does exist. It just isn't Larry Stevens. It's another gentleman who I believe is from Ohio who piloted that plane that day, because all those bodies had to be carried up that embankment or where the plane crashed. I mean, that's rough terrain.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Holy moly, dude.
right. You talking about rewriting South Carolina folklore? That's why I'm here.
Wow. Jeez.
But I will share another story because I do have a lot of followers from York County.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another ghost story down in Chester County, which is your neighbor to the south.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about this one.
Okay. So December 28th, 1968, a family of three, it was Danny Duncan. He was age 17. He was the driver of the vehicle. Bobby Ray Duncan, he was age 10, and their sister Tracy Lynn Duncan. My aunt, who is now 67, she went to school with Tracy Lynn Duncan. She was age 8 at the time. So this is right after Christmas, 1968. They lived over off of Mountain Lakes, which is off Highway 72 in Chester County.
Okay.
They were going to their grandmother's house, and they were going down Meadowbrook Road, and it's a country road.
Mm-hmm.
On one side, you got fields. There's 2 homes. On the other side, it's populated with people who lives on, down that road today. And as they were going down, they were struck by a freight train in their car.
Another train?
A freight train, yeah. But see, you got to remember, 1968, they didn't have lights up.
Yeah.
There was nothing to alert you.
They said there's little cross signs.
That's all you had. I mean, so this guy was 17 years old, just got his license. He's driving his family. I believe this occurred on a Sunday afternoon. He was going to his grandmother's house, approximately 1.5 miles away. Didn't hear the train. Could it been because the music was up so loud in the car? Because, I mean, 1968, you would have heard a train coming.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know what the regulations was around trains. If they had to blow the horn in 1968.
Look, I get it. People get hit by trains and stuff all the time, and I swore on everything that I ain't never gonna get hit by no train. So I'm real cautious around it. But I can't. It's like, and a crazy amount of people get hit by trains all the time.
Well, you know why, don't you? Because they don't ever settle those lawsuits. So as soon as so it used to be common. So it used to be commonplace that if you get hit by a train, that allegedly the train companies would try to write you a $25,000 check.
Yeah.
Right. And
shoot,
years ago, that story. Hold on, Chuck. That story actually came out of Rock Hill.
I'm gonna stop recording right now. We're getting evidence against me.
No, I mean that story actually came out of York County because
Really?
I actually knew a guy that was actually hit by a car, and he said they don't. The last thing they want to do, they don't want to do litigation. Because I mean, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the train's fault.
Right.
The train don't jump off the track to hit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they're going to shut you up over 25,000, right?
Yeah.
But this particular story here, I like the ghost stories that you can link back to live or real people.
Yeah.
And all 3 were killed.
All 3 were killed?
All 3 were killed.
Now, how old was the kid?
They were ages 17, 10, and 8 in that car.
Dang.
They were hit by a freight train, and they were buried at Evergreen Cemetery at the end of that road. So even when you go down there today, depending on which side you're coming in from, but all the way at the stop sign, across the street's Evergreen Cemetery, you can actually see the cemetery from the train tracks. And I actually encountered this. This is why I included it in this book. You'll never hear about this ghost story. People in Chester County know about it, but they ain't going to tell you about it. It's one of those places that you just don't talk about it.
A lot of places try to cover up. Maybe not cover up's the right word. Maybe forget tragedies.
See no evil, hear no evil, right?
That was awful. Let's move on. Right.
And so one night when I was about 16, I was coming down that road, and there was no other cars on the road. It was late at night, about 11:30. I'm gonna say it's about 11:30. And those lights just lit the horizon up. Ding, 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 ding. I slowed, I stopped, and no train ever came. And I started asking around after that, and they're like, "Oh, you encountered the haunted railroad tracks crossing." And to this day, in my book, I spoke to a gentleman named Rick Hall that was from Chester County. He doesn't live there anymore, but he said he tries to avoid that area every time he comes back because he's actually saw shadow figures walking on the tracks. He too has experienced the lights. And when I start bringing it up to other people, they're like, yeah, that happened to me too. And he told me that the railroad people has went out numerous times because of reports of the lights just lighting the sky. And it normally happens at night. You'll just see it and no train will ever come. And again, you have tragedy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They have unfinished business. They didn't get to tell their loved ones goodbye. And I hate to think that their spirits are trapped there on the railroad tracks, but.
So I'm glad you said that the spirits are trapped. What is your I mean, I guess it might be a little personal, but what is your thoughts on what ghosts are?
Ghosts are, what I like to say is this. I don't get into, because I'm not a paranormal investigator.
Right.
When you talk in that world, you have a lot of them, and I have a lot of friends that do it, and I've been invited several times. I just don't do it, Chuck. I just don't.
Yeah.
There's nothing that excites me about that. You'll get some. They'll dive in. It's demons, right?
Yeah.
What I think it is
because you got to think it has something to do with tragedy and stuff like that. Because you said it.
Well, what I have found is that I wrote about the Confederate soldier, and the ties to a churchyard, okay, in this book, down in, I believe it's Cross Hill. So I called the church up, and I was speaking to the preacher, fantastic person, right?
Yeah.
And I told him what I was doing,
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
do people respond? Like when you like cold call them like that? Like how does that usually go? Do they are they like cool with it sometimes, or are they like interested, or they kind of hold back?
It's like breaking the ice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
normally when somebody says, yeah, I'll tell them who I am, they're like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm happy to be alive.
Yeah,
And they start busting out laughing. It's an easy conversation because, what I tell them is, hey, look, if this kind of comes across wrong, my apologies. But I'm sure that, and a lot of these people are familiar with the tales, right? I talked to so many people and they said, so many people don't believe in the ghost stories, but they're religious. And my two pennies is this. Wouldn't it help you to believe in the ghost stories?
Yeah.
That there's another world?
Right.
Okay. So I believe, to answer your question, Chuck, I believe ghosts or spirits are stuck in flux for whatever reason. I mean, they died a tragic way. A lot of them can't find the light. Maybe it was an area they loved and they just didn't want to move on. I mean, we're all going to die one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might be my next ghost story. Who knows?
Come on.
That's not real wood. I'm just playing.
I'm gonna find some
Mahogany.
Yeah. So York County, outside of Winthrop, the ghost train. I do have a few more tales. I'll tell you one more before you go. It's about the lady in blue on Highway 5.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So if you're familiar with Highway 5, you may have come in on Highway 5. It's the highway that spans between York and Blacksburg. Pennies,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
pennies for progress.
Yeah. I'm out there.
I still haven't seen any progress.
No.
But I always thought going down that road, especially late at night, man, this is just one heck of a place to see an apparition or a ghost, right?
Right.
And so I was in this book, I was reaching out to all kind of different people, and I had so many people that actually reached out to me and was like, did you know about this or know about that? And I was like, no, I didn't. And I'm trying to find it. Let me see here. Maybe I can get down. So this actually is a story. So I found it when I was doing research, and I'll tell you who initially wrote it was Dr. Bobby Moss. Dr. Bobby Moss was I believe he was a historian at Limestone College. And before his death, he was actually working on a book, a collection of ghost tales in Cherokee County. A lot of people think Highway 5 is York County. It is. A lot of it is York County, but it does flip over to Cherokee County down the road. So this is actually a little community called Kings Creek that was down. And this article came from a 1989 article in the Go Upstate. And they asked Bobby Moss if he believed in ghosts, and Dr. Moss said, if there's ever such thing as a ghost, I did see a ghost. And he was telling, when he was a teenager, he was driving his truck down through there. He saw a lady in blue walking up in the Kings Creek community. And as he was slowing down, he was going to pull over to see if she needed help, because that was a neighborly thing you did back then. And as he was slowing his truck to see if he recognized her, as he passed her, he looked in the rearview mirror. She was gone. And to this day, even on the lantern, I have people a lot of times saying they seen a lady walking up Highway 5. And it was contributed to a lot of the wrecks that have occurred on that road. But it wasn't until I pieced it together with what Dr. Moss was saying that I got the lady in blue. And the story behind hers is tragic. So around the turn of the century, she was somewhere estimated to be about 18 or 19 years old. And it was in the spring of the year. She was on her way to town to purchase shoes and some different items for her birthday.
Yeah.
As she was coming back through, her father didn't really approve of her relationship with her new boyfriend. That caused a lot of turmoil. Well, she planned to stop by the trestle, and you can still see it down there, to soak her feet in the waters and to meet him as she was coming back, because she just had to see him, right?
Yeah.
And as she was walking, her father ran out with a gun, and he was going to fire the weapon over her head to scare her, to make her come back home. Well, as he went to shoot the gun, he tripped and he shot his daughter and killed her. All over because he didn't approve of the relationship. Now, we're in a different time. That's what I tell people on the lantern. I get people all the time. Like, I ran a witch story over in Kentucky that allegedly happened in 1916. They killed a 5-year-old. And they're like, those a-holes, this and that. You got to remember, this was a different time. The Civil War was a different time. People are different, you know? Like the Great Depeche Mode said, people are people, you know?
Yeah. So I did notice one thing. You said she was on a trestle. There is a third ghost story that happens right there on a train track. There's got to be something about ghosts and trains, right?
There's a lot of roadways, bridges. I bring up the train trestles and the roads because what you have found, or what I have found, is people like that because they can actually go out and they can feel, smell, taste, touch it.
Right. That's what
Do you get a lot of people doing that, like going out to and you hear back from them?
I never hear back from them, but I could tell when they tag people, we got to go check this out.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if it's a public road, it's not trespassing.
Right.
Okay. If I wrote about a place and I had to put disclaimers in there, don't trespass, don't eat the Tide Pods, right? Okay. That should be common knowledge, not to trespass and obey all laws.
Right.
Ghostly roads, I don't know. It's just something about people it's family. I'm going to say family fun, but it's fun for people. And here's the thing. If I get a 15-year-old kid that follows the lantern and they want to be the next lantern, because we all have a lantern inside of us. We all have a light inside of us.
I like that.
If they want to be the next person, say, you know what? I love history. I want to be a historian. I want to write ghost tales. I want to keep my butt off the streets. I want to study hard, be the best I can. And John Clark has really pumped me to do it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. What do we have a lot of now? Drug issues.
Right.
I much prefer a kid riding up and down the road on a Friday or Saturday night, 15, 16 years old, looking for a ghost versus the alternative.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it, you know? And I don't know who reads these stories, but I just want people to be safe when they're out.
I'm going to tell you, dude, there is definitely, in my immediate vicinity, there was a lot of people that told me to hit the lantern up, and that was instantaneously. So,
well, I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I'll say this: I love everyone to come on. The shares is phenomenal. When people shares our content, that means we're credible.
Yeah.
And I think I have proven here on this podcast, I go over and beyond.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm like, because he's sitting here before he says anything. If for those who can't see, he's checking his notes.
Right. Well, I have to check my notes because you got to remember,
Yeah.
I've written over 7,000 articles in my life.
Wow.
7,000. So they all float. Yeah, I'm supposed to do a interview for ABC News out of Kentucky on Thursday morning. Okay. I'm writing about the Headless Horseman, or I wrote about the Headless Horseman.
Really? That wasn't far from where I lived in New York.
That's one version of the
Yeah.
Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
But South Carolina, we have a couple tales of the Headless Horseman.
No, we don't.
Yeah, right up here in Asheville. It's actually on the church's website. They're very open about the Headless Horseman of Western North Carolina. It is actually on the church's website. They tell you the story, and that's unheard of. Normally, you don't see that on church websites.
You know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to deep dive in the lantern and all this stuff, and then we're going to have to do another podcast because I'm going to be so full of questions.
I've already told you we need to do a podcast together.
We're going to. That's.
Right.
I was going to talk to you about that, but before we close out,
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to dive back into the Beyond,
Mhm.
the new stuff you're talking about, and when can we expect this book to be released?
So I was hoping the book would be released this year. It was turned in April of last year, but with time constraints of editing and everything the publisher or publishing company has to do, it's going to be released, I believe, in August of next year.
Woo, that's a long time.
And that is a long time. I try to rush, so my apologies. I try to get it turned in, but I want to make sure it was right.
Yeah.
So it has been turned in. So I'm working on my second book. But it will be released in all of your major bookstores throughout South Carolina. And I'm sure I'll be going around doing some book signings when it comes out.
That's super cool, dude. So on the Beyond though, that's more of a
True crime,
true crime.
disappearances and cold cases.
Okay, and is that going to be is that strictly a website, or how are you pitching this?
So we do have our website, is the Lantern website, so they can go and they can get their cold case or read all the cold cases and true crimes on our Lantern website. We also have a Facebook page that I launched on August 10th of this year.
Yeah,
So we're almost about 6,000 followers on that page.
on the Beyond.
On the Beyond.
Okay.
And what I have found is that we don't really have much overlap between the Lantern and the Beyond, because I checked that. So the majority of those 6,000, they may have followed me on the Lantern, but they didn't click like or share the page.
Yeah.
But they're doing it over on the Beyond because they're interested in that content.
Nice. And is that going to be a podcast too? You were saying
So we
a
are
radio show. You said.
right. So we're still trying to pound it out or work through the stuff, Chuck. So the Beyond is the podcast is going to be different. The podcast is going to be everything beyond. So we're going to touch on things like the Bermuda Triangle. We're going to touch on D.B. Cooper, 1972, when he jumped out of that airplane with $200,000 strapped to his leg. Right.
Nice.
We're going to go over and beyond.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some cold cases on the Beyond. But it allows me to be able, if you remember Art Bell back in the 80s and 90s, his syndicated show, you remember Art Bell?
No, I don't.
I think he had Coast to Coast
I do remember that Coast to Coast radio show, right?
radio show.
Yeah, he was far out.
It was far out. It was almost like Unsolved Mysteries when it came in the 80s. I mean, I don't know about you, but every time I could still hear that music.
I mean, the Unsolved Mystery stuff, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't go to many haunted houses. That's not my forte.
That stuff creeped me out as a kid. I remember watching that. So I still remember to this day some like old farmhouse where these dudes were like in it, and like something was, I don't know. I think I was probably like 6 or 7 watching that. It freaked me out.
I just remember the hand with the little red finger joint thing.
Well, I will say this. Back in the mid to late 90s, I did go to a haunted house up in Charlotte, and I have a phobia for chainsaws.
Oh, you're talking about a haunted house?
Actual haunted house
Yeah,
where you actually
amusement
pay.
thing.
Yeah, it's stupid, right? You pay your
Right,
money,
right,
you go in, and some guy chases you, right?
People like to be scared.
A lot of people like to be scared. I'm not gonna say it's stupid, but for me, I didn't have no place to get in there. Okay?
Right.
And I'll never forget. It was off of Moorhead Street, and I walked down this. long hallway.
That is scary. No.
But that is scary. And I walked down this long hallway, and I turned to the right, and there was somebody put up like a curtain. Okay. And I'd never forget, dummy me, I said, man, I hope there ain't nobody with a chainsaw in here, because that's my biggest. And I hear the guy, he said, "You don't like chainsaws, little boy."
Oh,
and
boy.
He cranked that chainsaw up. And he slid that, that curtain open. Lord, before me, that guy looked like Leatherface.
Wow.
And it was a foot race at that point in time. And I remember I took off running, and he was behind me, and that chainsaw just kept getting way back,
dude.
And I never forget the lady at the front. She asked some of my friends. She said, "Does he play for the Panthers? Because he sure is fast."
Wow!
Right.
So, look, last year I was up in New York, and we went to they had a really, I think it was North Country haunted something, really kick ass haunted trail, and I was kind of popular up there, right? And
you had a TV show, right?
Yeah. And dude, all the boogers were like, "There's Carolina Chuck," and I'm like, "Oh God," you know what I mean? Like, they got masks and stuff on. They're not telling me who they are. I don't know who they are. And then, dude, it was such a cool, because you're going on this little hayride thing, and they've got like these boogers just jump up out. I mean, it was really well. I mean, I was pretty stoked about it. But they're hopping on the back of the thing. You got freaking Michael Myers, all of them talking about, "There's Carolina Chuck," and I was sitting there like, "Oh my God!" It was just kind of freaky. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't super terrified, but it was pretty odd. But it was a really cool place.
Well, I always say that because I look. You went last year, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knew Carolina Chuck.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I like Carolina Chuck. I like the name.
Yeah.
I went when I was 16, 17 years old, right?
Yeah.
And I probably, back then, I wasn't as health conscious as I am now.
Yeah.
So I probably could have passed for an offensive lineman for the Panthers.
Yeah.
And
full size kid.
Oh, I was a deep freezer.
Yeah.
Right? And when I took off running, all I know is I leaped I-85.
Wow.
I ran across I-85.
Oh my gosh, dude.
He wasn't going to catch me. But how ironic is it today that I write about all these, details? But
I mean, so I was, maybe you tackle things that scare you and it just takes you in a different direction. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean,
something to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I mean, I think we can wrap it up right there, dude.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Bear, as always.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming up. We definitely got to do another podcast.
Absolutely. And and I wanted to talk to you. Heck, I'll talk to you, tell you right now what I'm thinking about doing. So, I'll just put it on record. So my thoughts is I'd like to do this documentary on the Burris guy, right? And I think what I would do first is, obviously, I'm going to start a podcast about it, right? And then that podcast is going to cover the making of the documentary. We're going to go through, I've seen, try to get find out, like, piece together, like, the real story. There's not a book about this guy. Like, I couldn't find a book about him.
There's not a book. And I'm going to tell you, he is one of the hardest people to piece together because there's not a lot known.
And that's what's intriguing to me. Like, and it was so all over the place reading actual news articles last night to make me, this kid got pulled out of the car for search because his Jeep matched Tracy's.
We were heading over to Cowpens and they had stops, like sheriff's department fellows, AR-15s lined up doing checking everybody. But even back home, there's overlap. Everybody seems to know somebody who was at or adjacent to when he was finally.
And we worked with
killed.
the guy that called it in on him in Dallas. He was the neighbor. He actually made the phone call. He got an award at our job. Me and him worked together. So it kind of hits close to home, and I'm not like, I've never really been inspired like this, but I've thought about this story since it happened.
No, I'm going to turn you on to another one.
Yeah.
That's going to be worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
As I've researched it, in Walhalla, South Carolina, you got 5 dead, 5 missing since 2018. That's a town of about 4,000 people.
Something's currently going on.
But yeah. And they all have something unique or in common, and it's all local pharmaceuticals. And they actually arrested one gentleman, but they weren't able to keep him in jail. Someone actually did a YouTube video, and they hit like 1 million, 2 million views when they did that. But that one hasn't broken open like the Murdoch case did.
Yeah.
And I've actually pinned all of those articles on Missing in Walhalla.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the first ones in on that case. That's the one that we need research. However, you got to be careful because you're dealing with some people that they much rather kill you, in my opinion, than you ever breaking this out to the light of day.
Wow, that's deep. No, but I'm interested because I always thought about doing something that was actively going on too. You know, checking out something that's actively going on.
I mean, there's so many cold cases, disappearances.
Yeah.
I mean, Dale Dinwiddie, that's one if you want to do. She went to the U2 concert in 1992, University of South Carolina student, mysteriously disappeared, never been found.
Wow.
That's the one. Her story, every time I run that story, it gets thousands of shares.
Do you ever turn down a story? Not just because of like the active stories. Do you ever like look at that and say, you know what, that's just not, that might not be the best thing to dig into?
I've been threatened over these stories, some of them. When you write about cold cases and disappearances, people's going to try to threaten you. But what you got to tell yourself is, okay, they do that to try to back you off.
Right.
Right. Okay. So these aren't very, and I'm going to say this, higher intelligent human beings. Right.
Right.
Okay. You'll get a lot of people says, I have one to send me a message. And you could tell by the way they're right. Dude, I almost ended up dead twice because I knew too much, dude. Don't do it, dude. Don't do it, dude. Right. Now, I don't know this person from Adam. Now, I could tell you one thing. If I almost ended up dead twice, I'll probably be up at the police station telling them who threatened me.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't like somebody's going to run up on me anyways and threaten. But anyway.
This isn't rocket science. Yeah. Right? I mean, so somebody threatens you, but then you kind of have to step back and like, why did you really send that to me?
Yeah.
Is this a situation where you're just trying to bat me off? Or, because let's be honest, you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so what does it matter to you if I end up dead from researching something, right?
Yeah.
So what's it to you? You see what I mean?
What you got to hide.
Yeah. What do you have to hide to send me a message?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
all right, look, so that's a good preview for our upcoming podcast. But yeah, I'm with John from The Lantern. Follow The Lantern, check him out. He's going to tell some good stories, well researched, well worth the time. Man, I appreciate you.
All right, guys. I appreciate you.
All right.
A late night on a vacay, it's beat, so I'm heading to the room. A Nelly playing in the background, now the boys to give it till 2. We pick the spot with the crowd, we grab a few drinks and we hit the floor. A shorty popped up, grabbed me by the shirt and said, if she wants some more, and I said, and this she is, swinging my hands, singing and dancing, saying you the man. And this she was, now I